What's up, guys? I hope you're ready for some great playoff matchups this week. These are my predictions for round one. The Chargers and Texans meet in the first matchup of the week in a game that should be close. Home field advantage in the NFL playoffs is one of the biggest advantages in all of sports, and NRG Stadium fans have been known to take over games. But I think if the Chargers can avoid big mistakes early, they should be able to grind this game out, as they've gotten hot down the stretch while the Texans have struggled and remained inconsistent. I like the Chargers to win 21-17. In the next matchup, Steelers versus Ravens. I like the Ravens to win, even without Zay Flowers playing in this one. I like the Texans. The Steelers have gotten cold at the end of the season, and I think ultimately Lamar Jackson will be too much for the Steelers to handle on the road in this one. And I like the Ravens to win by a touchdown. For the Sunday slate, the Broncos and Bills kick off the action in what should be a very cold day in Buffalo. The Broncos have played admirably with rookie signal caller Bo Nix this season, but I ultimately think Josh Allen will not be denied in the opening round, and the Bills will advance and cover in this game. I like the Bills 31-17. The next game Sunday will be the Packers at the Eagles. This is an interesting matchup as well. Both of these teams play phenomenal defense, and both are led by very good quarterbacks. The Eagles are an elite team at home, however, and they boast an 8-1 record in Philadelphia. The Eagles will need to avoid a sloppy start after resting their players last week, but I do think they'll be able to get the tough yards when they need them and grind out a close victory 27-24 Eagles. Then in what I anticipate to be the best game of the week, the Commanders at the Bucks. I expect this to be a high scoring shootout with two of the most exciting quarterbacks competing in this one. I don't think Jaden Daniels will be rattled by the big lights of playoff football, but I think that Baker Mayfield and the Bucks will be able to withstand a great effort by the Commanders and pull this game out by a field goal. And finally, the Vikings versus Rams. This is going to be played in Arizona this week due to the wildfires in LA. I think the Rams are going to dig even deeper this week and find a gear that they didn't know was there. They're led by a top notch coach and a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I like the Rams to grind out a win in this one, 28-27.
All right, Jordan the Mush with my wild card weekend predictions coming at you, starting with the Saturday games. Los Angeles Chargers, I'm taking them over the Houston Texans. Jim Harbaugh's back, baby. It's playoff football. He's going to get it done. And later on that night, his brother's going to step up with the Baltimore Ravens and get it done over the Steelers. Now, the Steelers' defense is phenomenal. I just don't see their offense being able to keep up with the Ravens. It could happen, but I don't see it happening. On Sunday, we got three games going on. First game of the day, Bills over the Broncos. I really think that the Bills are going to dominate this one. I know the Broncos defense has been phenomenal, but the Bills defense has been something else this year as well. I'm taking the Eagles over the Packers. I'm taking the Commanders over the Buccaneers in that one. That one might be pretty high scoring. We'll see how that one goes. And then Monday night, we have the Vikings to beat the Rams. I don't see anything special about the Rams this year. They do have some superstars, obviously. They got Stafford, Kupp, Nakua, Kyron Williams. So they got pieces on offense. I just don't know if they're going to be able to keep up with the Vikings. Although, it depends which Sam Darnold shows up. But I'm still rolling with the Vikings in that one.
All right, here are my predictions for you for this week's set of playoff games. First up, we have the Texans versus the Chargers. The Chargers are the far better team right now. It's only Harbaugh's first season, and the Texans are just so beat up. Take the Chargers to win and the -3 and Dobbins to go over his rushing prop. In the Steelers versus the Ravens should win, but as the saying goes, it is so hard to beat a team three times. So look for the Steelers to cover the +9.5 and Lamar to go over his rushing and passing prop. In the Eagles versus the Packers are just way too beat up on all sides of the ball. And the Eagles, they should cover the -5.5 with Hertz going over his passing and Saquon going over his rushing prop. The Broncos and the Bills. I expect this to actually be a very close game. And the Broncos not only cover, but they cover with, say, down to three. All right. So the Bills found a way to win, but Sutton goes over his prop. Finally, for the Sunday game, we have Commanders versus the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers win, especially since McMillan has become a solid number two, and take the over for this points in the game. Finally, Vikings versus the Rams. The glass slipper does not just break, it shatters. And at the worst time for Darnold to become a pumpkin again, the Rams win. Those are your predictions that I like.
Hey guys, how's it going? Here are some predictions and analysis of the 6 NFL playoff games this weekend. Starting off this week's slate of games are the Chargers and Texans. The Chargers travel to Houston in what should be a defensive showdown. Both teams have good defenses, both teams have great coaches, both teams have a solid running game, and I like this one to be a close game. But like so many games in the NFL playoffs, I think ultimately this one comes down to which quarterback plays better, and right now I like Herbert over Stroud. Texans cover the spread, but the Chargers win this one 21-20. Next up, we have a divisional rivalry between the Ravens and the Steelers. The Ravens are favored by 9.5 at home, and the Ravens are peaking at the right time while the Steelers have stumbled into the playoffs, losing 4 games in a row. After struggling early in the year, the Ravens have been first in total defense since week 9, and that will be a problem for the Steelers as their offense has been the opposite of dynamic. Unless Pittsburgh can get some points off turnovers, then I don't think they have much of a chance in this one. I like the Ravens to not only win, but to cover as well. Ravens 28, Steelers 14. Denver and Buffalo play the early game on Sunday. Buffalo is favored by 9 points, and the over-under is set at 47.5. There's only about a 5% chance of snow in Buffalo, so I don't anticipate weather being much of a factor. And Bo Nix is trying to be the first rookie quarterback to win a road playoff game since Russell Wilson did so 12 years ago. Overall, rookie quarterbacks are just 5-17 all-time in road playoff games. I like Denver to keep this game close, but look for the Bills to pull away and win in the end. Final score, Buffalo 28, Broncos 21. And next up is a fun one between the Eagles and the Packers. The Eagles are favored by 5.5 points, and the over-under is 45.5. The Eagles have the bigger stars with Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith, but don't sleep on the Packers, who are loaded with young playmakers like Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, and Tucker Kraft. Defensively, I have to give the upper hand to the Eagles, who have been dominant all year in that category. I like the Packers to cover, but the Eagles win the game 24-21. Tampa Bay hosts the Commanders on Sunday. Jaden Daniels will also be attempting to be the first rookie quarterback to win a road playoff game in 12 years. The Bucs are favored by 3 points, and the game features the highest over-under of the week at 50.5 points. As a Browns fan, I have a soft spot in my heart for Baker Mayfield, but I think Daniels and the Commanders will get it done and pull off the road upset. Commanders 28, Bucs 24. And finally, we have the Vikings squaring off versus the Rams. And this is an interesting matchup as the Vikings were the more accomplished team in the regular season, but Sean McVay leads a Rams team that has won a Super Bowl before. He's 7-4 as coach in playoff games, and they are 2.5 point underdogs, but I'd like them to pull off the upset. Rams 21, Vikings 17.